Calaroga Shark Media.
From Washington, D.C., where the only thing more common than politicians breaking promises is tourists breaking a sweat trying to see all the monuments, it's time for Ballot, the podcast that dares to talk about politics without putting you to sleep faster than a C-SPAN marathon.
Hey there, Ballot believers. It's time for another episode of your favorite podcast that talks about politics without getting bogged down in all the, well, politics. And boy, do we have a doozy of a show for you today. A New York appeals court reduced Donald Trump's bond in his civil fraud case, originally set at $454 million, to $175 million. Jimmy Fallon said, "It's the first time someone's ever heard. Good news, you only owe $175 million. Having 10 days to come up with $175 million doesn't sound like good news. It sounds like the plot to a Jason Statham movie." Seth Meyers went with, "After his lawyers argued last week that he did not have the money for the $454 million bond in his civil fraud case, former President Trump posted in all caps on Truth Social, 'I currently have almost $500 million in cash.' Dude, they're trying to help you. That's like if OJ tweeted, 'The glove fits great.'" Jon Stewart explained all this, saying, "You know what? Let's take a step back. What did Trump actually do to earn this penalty?" Well, it turns out that for a decade, whenever Trump wanted to get a loan or make a deal, he'd illegally inflate the value of his real estate. For instance, suggesting that his 11,000 square foot penthouse was a 30,000 square foot penthouse. We all do it. I mean, on my driver's license, I'm not listed as 5'7". I'm listed at 30,000 square feet. Stewart added, "And the Attorney General of New York knew that Trump's property values were inflated because, when it came time to pay taxes, Trump undervalued the very same properties. It's all part of a very sophisticated real estate practice known as lying." Trump's trial is now April 15th. Jimmy Fallon pointed out, "The judge picked April 15th because it's tax day and he knew Trump wouldn't be busy." In a recent press conference, Trump spun a tale about how he heroically decided not to list his Trump Media and Technology Group on the New York Stock Exchange, despite their desperate pleas. Why, you ask? Well, apparently business people are treated too badly in New York, and he didn't want to be attacked by a thug like this horrible attorney general that we have in New York. But wait, there's a plot twist. Turns out, the stock exchange where Trump's company's actually being listed, the NASDAQ, is also headquartered in New York. In fact, the NASDAQ and the NYSE are practically neighbors, both located in the bustling borough of Manhattan. So, all those pesky New York laws and political oversight that Trump was supposedly trying to avoid? Yeah, they still apply. Jonathan Macy, a Yale Law School professor who knows a thing or two about corporate law and finance, couldn't contain his laughter when discussing Trump's story. He compared it to someone claiming they were going to avoid shopping at Macy's in New York to escape persecution, only to head over to the Bloomingdale's next door. Macy quipped, "It's just mind-bogglingly nonsensical. I hope somebody advising President Trump informs him that the same investor protection rules that safeguard investors of the New York Stock Exchange also safeguard investors on the NASDAQ stock market," Macy said, probably while trying to catch his breath from laughing so hard. Trump, now the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, shared this bizarre anecdote while lashing out at New York Attorney General Letitia James and Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg for having the audacity to bring legal cases against him. He even claimed that the people at the stock exchange are very, very upset, and that the top person is mortified about his decision to snub the NYSE. So, there you have it. Trump's attempt to stick it to New York by listing his company on a different stock exchange has about as much logic as trying to avoid getting wet by jumping from one side of a pool to the other. But hey, at least we got a good laugh out of it. The firm behind Donald Trump's Truth Social is set to go public at a price that values the Minnow social network at close to $6 billion. Shares in Digital World Acquisition, the vehicle with which Trump's social media business is combining, surged 35% on Monday and have almost tripled in value since the turn of the year. Trump Media and Technology's arrival on the market sets the stage for the former president to reap a paper fortune of more than $3 billion if its stock can continue to trade at the levels to which it has surged in recent months. Oh boy, it looks like Donald Trump's Truth Social is about to hit the big time. The firm behind the former president's social media venture is set to go public, and they're not messing around when it comes to valuation. Brace yourselves, because apparently, this little fish in the social media pond is worth a whopping $6 billion. Shares in Digital World Acquisition have been on a wild ride. They surged 35% on Monday alone and have nearly tripled in value since the beginning of the year. It's like watching a roller coaster, but instead of screaming passengers, it's just a bunch of excited investors. If Truth Social stock can keep up this crazy momentum, Trump could be sitting on a paper fortune of more than $3 billion. That's right. The man who once declared bankruptcy multiple times could become a social media billionaire. And get this, the company will trade under the ticker symbol DJT, using Trump's initials. It's like they're saying, hey, in case you forgot who's behind this, here's a little reminder. Well, folks, it looks like the presidential pettiness is in full swing. Just when you thought the world of politics couldn't get any more absurd, we've got Joe Biden and Donald Trump trading barbs over a golf club championship. Joe Biden's campaign responded to Trump's wild press conference in New York on Monday by slamming the former president as weak and desperate, both as a man and a candidate for president. He spent the weekend golfing, the morning comparing himself to Jesus, and the afternoon lying about having money he definitely doesn't have, the statement read, adding that America deserves better than a feeble, confused, and tired Donald Trump. It all started when Trump took to social media to boast about his supposed victory at his own golf club. In a post dripping with humility, he wrote, "It is my great honor to be at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach tonight, awards night, to receive the club championship trophy and the senior club championship trophy." And just in case anyone missed the point, he added, "I won both," in all caps, because apparently, subtlety is for losers. Enter Joe Biden, who just couldn't resist the opportunity to take a swing at his predecessor. In a statement that can only be described as the political equivalent of a slow clap, Biden replied, "Congratulations, Donald. Quite the accomplishment." The sarcasm was so thick you could cut it with a 9-iron. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shouldn't these two be focusing on, I don't know, running the country and addressing the pressing issues facing the nation? But hey, who needs to worry about trivial matters like the economy, healthcare, or foreign policy when there are golf trophies to be won and egos to be stroked? I mean, can you imagine the conversation in the Oval Office? "Mr. President, we have an urgent matter to discuss regarding national security." "Not now. I'm busy crafting the perfect snarky tweet about Trump's golf game." Well, it seems like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is gearing up to make a splash in the presidential race. The independent candidate is set to announce his running mate at a rally in Oakland, California, and let's just say the list of potential VP picks is as eclectic as a Coachella lineup. According to Kennedy, he's already made up his mind on who will join him on the ticket. The shortlist reportedly includes attorney and entrepreneur Nicole Shanahan, former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura, NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and a host of other big names. It's like a game of one of these things is not like the other. But hey, who says politics can't be a little unconventional? Kennedy dropped a hint about his VP choice, saying they have ties to the Oakland area. Cue the speculation. Could it be Nicole Shanahan, born and raised in Oakland? Or perhaps Aaron Rodgers, the former UC Berkeley football star? The suspense is killing us. But why announce a running mate so early? Well, it turns out Kennedy needs to get cracking on ballot access. There are 23 states where his campaign can start collecting signatures as soon as they name a VP. It's like a political scavenger hunt, and Kennedy's goal is to be on the ballot in all 50 states. So far, he's only managed to secure a spot in Utah, but his campaign claims they've gathered enough signatures in a handful of other states. Of course, it wouldn't be a presidential race without some drama. Democrats are accusing Kennedy of being a potential spoiler who could help Trump defeat Biden. As for the type of voters Kennedy is targeting with his VP pick, he's keeping his cards close to his chest. All he said is that he wants someone aligned with his values, optimistic about our country and its potential, and able to run the country at a moment's notice. So, basically, a unicorn. A Texas man has officially changed his name to literally anybody else and thrown his hat into the ring. That's right, he's running for president, and his platform is pretty much summed up by his name. Formerly known as Dustin Eby, This 35-year-old U.S. Army veteran and 7th grade math teacher from the Dallas suburbs is fed up with the current political landscape. He's so dissatisfied with the frontrunners, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, that he decided to take matters into his own hands. And by matters, I mean his literal identity. 300 million people can do better, he declared, referring to the U.S. population. And you know what? He might just have a point. I mean, when your choices are between a guy who can't seem to stay awake during important meetings and another who thinks he's still the president, it's no wonder people are looking for alternatives. But here's the kicker. Literally, anybody else needs 113,000 signatures from non-primary voters in Texas by May to get his new name on the ballots. That's a tall order, considering most people probably don't even know 113,000 people, let alone convince them to sign a petition for a guy named literally anybody else. Undeterred, our intrepid candidate is campaigning for people to write in his name. We don't have a neither option on the ballot, and this kind of fills that role, he explained. It's like the political equivalent of none of the above, except instead of leaving the space blank, you write in a name that sounds like a rejected suggestion from a brainstorming session. On his website, literally anybody else declares that he's not just a person, but a rally cry. He's taking a stand against the political parties that put loyalty over governance and leaving Americans stuck choosing between the king of debt, Trump's self-proclaimed title, and an 81-year-old. That's Biden, in case you were wondering. Portions of this podcast were created with the assistance of AI. Until next time, remember to keep an open mind, a healthy sense of humor, and a firm grip on your sanity. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that politics can be a crazy game, but it's always better when we can laugh about it together. Thanks for tuning into Ballot, your trusted source for political news with a side of wit. Remember that sometimes the best way to survive the political circus is to sit back and enjoy the show.